Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and after over a year and a half of ownership, we are unexpectedly selling our 2023 Chevrolet Bolt EUV. When we purchased this vehicle back in the summer of 2023, we expected it to be Alissa's primary car for years and years to come, because ultimately it provides just about everything most drivers want and need from a secondary vehicle. Now, in terms of modern, groundbreaking EVs, this isn't that amazing. It's got an EPA estimated range of about 240 miles. It only, quote-unquote, fast charges at up to 50 kilowatts, much, much slower than the up to 350 kilowatts that we're seeing from some of the leaders right now. And it's not a huge car. It's not a fancy car, but especially in this Premier trim on the EUV model, it provides so many features for the fairly low $32,000 MSRP that this car had back in 2023. I mean, can we think about that for a moment? Right now, the average new car transaction price here in 2025 is somewhere around $45,000, $48,000 in America. So this car is well below the average car transaction price. And yet it has heated and ventilated seats, heated steering wheel, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, heated rear seats. Optionally, you could get a panoramic sunroof and GM's Super Cruise. You could get an upgraded Bose sound system that really wasn't that half bad. It's got good driving dynamics. It's got room for 5 adults. We fit 5 people in here. It's got a little bit of cargo space. It's got flush mount roof rails there. I mean, it's got so many things that it does so well. So what has it been like to own this car for a year and a half and 12,000 miles? And most importantly, why are we getting rid of it? And as a side note, why isn't Alissa here? Well, to answer the last question first, she is working. That's the long and short of it. And a lot of times when you got to deal with going to the dealership and getting a new car, it's just got to be done during work hours. So we're going to try to get some of Alissa's final impressions on the car for a little bit of comparison with the car that is replacing it. But I'm going to try to summarize some of Alissa's thoughts with her little Bolt EUV that she's been driving as her daily driver for the last year and a half. And as you can see, it is in full daily driver spec. It's a bit dirty in here, but she's kept it in good enough condition. Nothing that can't be cleaned up with 45 minutes of vacuuming and wiping down. So hopping right in the car, we're seeing a really nice blend of traditional automotive functionality and styling with modern amenities. So you've got this large touchscreen that, like I said, features wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, something that the new GM electric vehicles do not offer, but yet it's nicely built into the dash. You can tell that the Bolt was set up with infotainment in mind. It's not something that was just plopped right on. But yet below that, we still have a full suite of physical controls for climate, physical controls for the heated and ventilated seats. You go up for heat, down for ventilation. Heated temperature controls, physical right there as well. Physical volume, home button. And then a nice little gauge cluster pod in front of us, which admittedly I think shows a little bit too much information for the standard driver, somebody like Alissa who just needs to hop in and see her speed and range essentially. For me, I don't think she was paying much attention to the power in kilowatts going in or out of the battery from the motor, or I don't think she was paying much attention to her average efficiency numbers, which I should say, quite good. We have actually averaged over the lifetime of the vehicle 4 miles per kilowatt hour. If you're driving a Tesla, that's about 250 watt hours per mile. Very, very good efficiency with this car. But anyway, I like that we do have a center gauge pod cluster there that's giving us information, a nice big digital speed readout. It's not kind of plopped up like an HUD or tucked in somewhere, some weird positioning. It works really well. And then there's the general driving dynamics of this car. What Alissa has really appreciated about it is that right there, that immediate push your foot down on the accelerator and the car hops up and goes. We've always joked that driving the Bolt around is like driving a really fancy golf cart. It's got quick steering. It's a bit twitchy. It's a firm suspension. I haven't always loved how bouncy it is over bumps, but the flip side of that is it results in very immediate steering inputs and a peppiness, a playfulness to the driving demeanor of the car. And it helps that the Bolt is fairly light compared to a lot of electric vehicles. It's not a huge car. It doesn't have a massive battery pack. So all things considered, I mean, I don't have the numbers right here in front of me, but compared to a lot of newer electric vehicles on the market, this car feels spunky. It does. It's got a pep to it. 0 to 60 on this car is about 6 seconds. And because it's electric, you're getting that pretty much all the time. You don't have to get a shift right or be in the proper gear or torque. Load up the torque converter or anything like that. It just goes. And that's a really quick number for just a kind of a daily driver, commonplace family hauler type of car like this. Some other little features Alissa has really appreciated and insists on having on her future vehicles: the camera rear view mirror. Some people don't like it. Some people have a tough time adjusting their eyes to it. But Chevy's been doing it for a while now, and they've made a pretty good setup here that doesn't require your eyes to adjust too dramatically, and Alissa really appreciates being able to have such a clear view behind her. Next, she really appreciates the 360-degree camera. You can see right here as she's parking, she can see the lines around her, she can see what's in front of her, behind her, the curbs. I don't think it's that huge of a deal in a small car like this, but she has appreciated having it, again, especially at a $32,000 price point. So, have we had any issues with the Bolt over a year and a half of ownership? Two issues that I can think of over that entire time. And the only maintenance we've done are tire rotations. We brought it in twice, have the tires rotated and everything inspected. We have been dealing with a creaking sound from the right rear suspension. So we took it in recently, I mean, it's still under warranty, and we said, hey, it's making this sound, can you please replicate it and try to fix it? They tightened down the suspension, the shocks, I believe, and the bushings there, and it mostly went away. It's still present over some curbs, so if we were going to keep it, I would take it back in and say, hey, it's still happening under these situations. Maybe something is loosening, maybe there's something not installed quite properly. I don't know what the deal is, but there has been a little bit of that. And then we did have one situation where Alissa got in her car after work, and her phone was not connecting to the system with Apple CarPlay, and it didn't even recognize it on Bluetooth or anything. And it actually eventually reset itself and required her to unpair and repair her phone. Now, all things considered, over a year and a half of ownership, that's pretty mild. I mean, that's two kind of very simple things. But on the other hand, that's only 12,000 miles. I mean, there are plenty of cars that could go 100,000 miles with no issues cropping up and essentially just basic maintenance. Another thing I really like about the Bolt is the general visibility. I mean, these A-pillars are a little thick and a little slanted, but all things considered, you sit fairly high above the window sills and above the instrument panel, and you get a good view of the road right in front of you. It's a short hood. Appreciate that. So what have we done with the Bolt over the year and a half? Well, we took it on a total of one road trip. That worked out pretty well. We took it up from about Irvine here up to Sequoia National Park, and we had to charge one time. It took about an hour or so to get from a fairly low state of charge to, I think, essentially full on a level 3 charger. And we planned that stop around eating, so we had a meal during it, came back out, car was ready to go, continued on. I enjoyed it for that trip. I think it was totally fine. Other than that, it's mostly been a commuter. I think that's the best use of a Bolt, especially now that they're getting down toward $15,000, $16,000 for Bolt EUVs after battery work and everything. I think it's a fantastic second car of the household sort of vehicle. And it's worked out well for us because we have access to other vehicles that are gasoline powered, diesel powered, other EVs. I mean, part of it is because of what I do for work, but also we have a truck as well. And so if we ever needed something with more space or more range or more capability, we had that accessible to us. But I'm going to be fully honest with you all. Alissa has only charged this car on level 1 for the last 8 months of ownership. She's never plugged it into a level 2 or level 3 charger. She's simply come home, we plug into the level 1 that's just running in the front of our garage there. She drives a total of maybe 20 miles per day on average, and the car charges itself right back up. And because the Bolt is so efficient, that works really well. I mean, if it's getting 4 miles per kilowatt hour and it charges at about 1 kilowatt, so a kilowatt hour per hour, if you will, charging, that means 4 miles per hour being plugged in, and So she over a normal night of her being home, it gets all charged up. And if there were ever a situation where she maybe did 50 miles in a day, then it would get charged back up over a few miles. So we've kept the car charged to about 80% throughout its lifetime, and it's just worked. That's what's been so great about the Bolt. She enjoys driving it. It provides the functionality and features that she likes, and it's been solid and cheap. Very, very inexpensive to drive and own over this period. So if we like the car so much, why in the world are we getting rid of it? Well, it's a combination of factors that have come together for me to almost not deny that the timing is right. So let's start off with the fact that Chevy is offering $3,000 for owners of Bolt EVs or EUVs to purchase or lease the new Equinox EV. Now, I drove the new Equinox EV at the launch event, and I quite liked it. I like a lot about it. It's got a few flaws, but overall, it is a larger, nicer, and more capable vehicle than the Bolt. So, okay, $3,000, not the end of the world for a car that costs so much more. At the end of the day, $3,000 in the chunk of an entire new car purchase is not enough of a reason to ditch a car that you own and already like and have paid taxes on and run out and get something else. But between the rest of the incentives that both we are eligible for and Chevy is offering, and some competitive leasing offers, specifically from this dealer that we're working with, Guarantee Chevy in Santa Ana, California, we will be getting into an Equinox EV to lease. It's a 2-year, 20,000 mile lease, so fairly low mileage, 10,000 miles a year. But we're getting into it for what I calculate to cost less than the depreciation that we would expect to see on Alissa's Bolt over the next 2 years. So let me explain. The other aspect of all this is that starting with calendar year 2025, Alissa's car, the Bolt that we're driving now, is now eligible for the used EV tax credit that is still in effect right here in America, 2025. That means if somebody purchases this car from a dealership, they can get $4,000 off on their taxes after they purchase the vehicle. So it essentially adds $4,000 of value to the trade-in of the car, because the dealers know that they can sell it for about $4,000 more than they used to be able to. So when 2025 started, we essentially saw a $4,000 jump in the value of her car, which means we can trade it in for, get this, more than we paid for it a year and a half ago after factoring in the tax rebates that we had on the car. So the Bolt is seeing this surge of value right now, and the Equinox EV is very, very marked down. And I know this car is not going to hold value very well over the next few years. Electric vehicles are advancing so rapidly in range and charging speed, and they're dropping in price as economies of scale pick up. So this car is okay now, but it's really not going to be very impressive in a few years. It's going to be something like a first-gen Nissan Leaf or a 500e, where yeah, it'll get the job done, but between battery degradation and just compared to other cars that are on the market, it's not going to be worth that much. So essentially, this car would be worth what I'm estimating to be about $5,000 or $6,000 less in 2 years. And if we're only paying about $4,000 to drive a larger, newer, and arguably nicer car, to me, that seems like the way to go. The Bolt is still such a good zippy highway car too, because again, you've got so much power right there. It's kind of funny that they made this car so powerful and peppy, even years and years ago. Even the first Bolts, the 2017 models, were zippy little cars. They made them fun. So we're trading it in for an Equinox EV. Downsides, it's not going to be quite as peppy and fun to drive around. The Equinox, especially in front-wheel drive form, is not as zippy, and the power-to-weight ratio is not quite there. We're going to be leasing the car as opposed to owning it outright. So in 2 years, we're going to have to put down more money on something to figure out what Alissa's going to drive. And we're not going to have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And I'm going to be really curious to see what that's going to be like, because I like the Android Automotive based systems that are in the new General Motors cars, but I also like using Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So we shall see how that is for daily ownership. But admittedly, we also have a baby on the way, and while I'm sure it would be totally fine to have the baby and the stroller and the car seat and everything in the Bolt, it'll be easier and we'll have more room in the Equinox. So I think all those things together, it's going to come together for a pleasant upgrade. But I am going to miss the Bolt. It has just slightly more character than most new electric vehicles on the market, and that goes a long way in your daily driving enjoyment, having a car that just seems a little bit more fun. All good things do come to an end, and shorter than we expected. I think our Bolt EUV ownership is coming to an end right now as well, provided everything goes smoothly inside the dealership today. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the Bolt EUV, check the link below for our ownership intro, a few of the videos we've done. And be sure to stay tuned as well, because we're going to try to squeeze in a little Equinox EV versus Bolt EUV comparison video. I'm going to try coming back here to guarantee Chevrolet before the Bolt is sold on their used lot and do a comparison between our new car later this week when I can have Alissa in the seat with us here. And I'm also going to do a breakdown video on how the numbers got so good with the Equinox EV, so you can check that as well. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.